When I think of my mother, I think of constancy, I think of determination, and I think of purity of purpose.
So when I think of Vel, I think of a powerhouse. I think of an icon from Milwaukee that was so successful in so many different areas.
Vel Phillips is Wisconsin's own true civil rights icon. She is the mother, I think is the best way to put it, of civil rights and the civil rights gains that we've achieved in this state and in this city. I put her right up there on the same type of scale as John Lewis, as Dr. King, Reverend Jackson. I mean, these are the people that were out there changing life for people of color in the city of Milwaukee. So when I think of Vel, and I think of words that would probably best describe her, the two words that really put it in context are gracefully tenacious.
Courageous. She had moxie. I mean, I liked her courage, that it had an edge to it. She was unique. There were not many people that I've met in my lifetime that had the combination of what Vel had as an individual.
When I think of Vel, I think of someone who was highly intelligent, but just as much emotionally driven and also aware of her own powers as a person of influence, as well as the people around her.
When I think about what may have led to Vel's success, once again, it's that determination. It's the level of determination that she had. She could see what needed to be done, and she wasn't willing to take no for an answer. Whether we were talking about housing issues, whether we were talking about racial discrimination, whether we were talking about issues impacting mass incarceration of people of color in this. It didn't matter what the issue was. She saw what needed to be done, and she was determined to try to go about and make a change about that any way that she could, but in a graceful way. I mean, she was never an in-your-face, I'm going to cuss you out kind of person. She had this demeanor that just perfectly got it, but with the determination that was there, that was Vel. And you knew when you were dealing with her that you were going to have to come up with an answer that made sense.
She was not intimidated, and she was not afraid to speak her truth as she knew it and understood it. And she was able to articulate that. And I think making people comfortable, especially the power brokers, comfortable with the truth is a quality that she had, and I think that really made her effective as a human being, and especially as an attorney.
I think that she was successful because she was not just someone with a one track of experience or background. Even though she was trained as a lawyer, she was also a very sharp mediator, negotiator. She understood people and their needs. She was comfortable with everybody, black, white, men, women, young people, old people. So I think she was a world-class person who was more like an ambassador of goodwill.
Vel influenced other women of color, African American women of color, by always being encouraging. When she would see me in the courthouse, she would ask me about my cases. She would ask me about, am I going to run for judge? She would ask me about where my career was going to take me, what kinds of things. And so you felt like, wow, she did all these things. I should be, and I could be, and I will be doing these things to follow in her footsteps.
As far as an impact on African American attorneys, that's where her role model really kind of paved the way for the rest of us. You think about the first, and I know you're probably going to get this from a lot of people, but you know, the first woman alderman, the first black alderman, the first woman judge, the first black judge, the first black elected official in state history, the first national committee person for a political party. I mean, you think of all those first, there aren't a lot left that need to be achieved. Yet she understood that being first didn't necessarily mean that the door was always going to be open for those that followed. And so her goal was to try to assist others in rising to the heights that they could achieve as lawyers.
Well, she had high standards. I mean, she had very high standards. She was not too afraid to fight for what she believed in. She had a much greater impact on policymakers by being at the table, which is really important, and providing them with an education.
She allowed her legacy, her life, her journey, personality, her ability to attach to people. She loaned it to other people to get them where they wanted to be. When I applied to become a judge, for example, she called everybody, including the governor, to express support. And she never stopped expressing support, even after I arrived 25 years ago on the bench.
Vel definitely had an impact. I mean, she encouraged me, she pushed me, she saw that I had the possibility to rise to the next stage, the next level, and she made sure that I did that. She would always encourage me, don't give up, you can do this, you can achieve your goals, you just have to work at it. And then she would work with me on coming up with plans and little things that we could do to try to take it to the next level. And I always appreciated that about her, but she was always right there in the thick of things too, to make sure that things happen for you. And one of the things that I recall vividly is that at my investiture, when I finally made it to the Supreme Court back in 2004, she was there front and center. And she spent a lot of time chatting with my mother during that wonderful occasion, and they got to become friends during that interactions.
And one of the unique things about her, not only was she a first, she could make you a first. And I experienced that firsthand. She had the skill and ability to do that. And her being able to do that provided me with an opportunity to sit on boards and be at the table, to have influence that I never even thought of.
The best professional advice I think I got was, don't ever stop.
Be yourself. Be proud of being black. Don't let anybody intimidate you into believing other than what your knowledge tells you is the truth. She said, if you know what the truth is, then that is the truth. Be humble, but there's nothing wrong with being smarter than other people.
No matter what or where, to remain confident. Confidence is key.
She told me that my biggest fear was being able to realize my best dream. And what she meant by that was, we usually stand in the way of our own success just because we're focused on the wrong thing. She always wanted me to focus on the positive. She rarely spoke negative about anybody. She might have critiqued them, but she was a classy lady. She wanted us to act in that same regard, like we were worthy of everything that this nation has to offer. And we shouldn't think in any other terms other than, that should be me. I think that Vel's legacy should live on in multiple places because she was not a single focused person. I think it should be always present in the education and the lives and journeys of lawyers of all colors, men and women. I think that her legacy should be present in state government to show that if you have the compassion for the people, that things can change if you use your enterprise, your resources, and your intellect, your emotional intelligence, as well as your cultural awareness, that you can and you should be celebrated for the good that you've done.
We need people who understand the need to stand up, to fight injustice, to fight for justice, so that we can all have a better future.
One of the indicators of my mother's connection to people in her career was her relationship over 40 years to my father. This, the WAAL scholarship is named Vel and Dale Scholarship, and that is for my mother and for my father. And it was that relationship with my father that carried my mother through thick, through thin, for all of the years of her career prior to and post. My father, again, is not being honored here, but to honor her is to honor him. And I would just like to say his name, W. Vel Phillips, and he was the strength behind her. He was the man behind the woman, and I believe that honoring her is honoring him as well.
At this point in life, she's my hero. She is my hero.
Her life, her journey has inspired us to believe that in the reality of dreams. We all get the message as children and as adults that if we do the right thing, we can become whatever we want to be. And our world is not proof of that. But when we see someone like Vel, it's believable.